SBC Media.
Welcome to iGaming Daily, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe. Supported by SBC Summit Barcelona, the industry-leading conference bringing you the future of sports betting and iGaming.
SBC Summit Barcelona is the fastest growing sports betting and iGaming event in the industry, happening on the 19th to the 21st of September. Experience the entire global industry coverage under one roof, with 15,000 delegates, over 350 exhibitors, and so much more. Get your tickets now at sbcevents.com.
The last 12 months has been a whirlwind for slot streamers, both for the good and the bad. As we approach the year anniversary of Twitch's implementation of rules that altered the online casino streaming landscape last October, it's fair to say that the domino effect from it has been quite damaging for the platform. Since October 17th, 2022, we've witnessed viewing figures plummet for the slots category that used to be a consistent performer for Twitch, as well as an exodus of slot streamers and the emergence of Kick, which is technically backed by State.com, who coincidentally or not, were one of the first three names to be shamed by Twitch in their initial statement. Where on iGaming Daily and SlotBeats, we've been attempting to keep on top of this development, yet while it's all fair and well hearing the thoughts of a journalist like myself or Craig Davis and Danny Lee on SlotBeats and Casino Beats, we've yet to hear directly from a streamer, and that changes today as I'm joined by Alvin Sheldon, aka Chipmonkz Slots, to join me, James Ross, on iGaming Daily, sponsored by SBC Summit Barcelona. Alvin, how are you doing today? Would you like Alvin or Chipmonkz?
Just call me Chip, mate. That works.
Chip, even better. I like that, Chip.
Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to seeing these questions. So fire away with any questions you've got, and let's get into this.
Yeah, let's do it, because I've been following this story since. Well, I've been following Twitch streamers for quite a while since I joined the company, and definitely this story for the past, like I said, nearly 12 months now. And
yeah.
I just want to know from you, I've already mentioned a bit about kind of the figures plummeting on Twitch, and we've done previous episodes where I've gone a bit more in depth on those figures, because it's over half, definitely, and it's not even recovered at all, really, you could say. But how has Twitch's rules kind of altered slot streamers who use the platform? I know you're mainly on YouTube, aren't you? But
yeah, so we were primarily YouTube based only, so that we exclusively stream to YouTube, and then we decided to branch out a little bit more, probably about 7-8 months ago, where we decided to start doing more on platforms like Kick, Twitch as well, so we could stream on Twitch, and then also we were doing streams on Facebook Direct as well. In regards to the Twitch ban, it didn't really impact us because we wasn't really streaming on Twitch at the time, for the simple reason that there was heavy rumours this was going to happen. There was a lot of talk that it was going down that path, so we didn't really want to invest too much of our resources in Twitch in case it happened, and eventually, obviously, it did happen. I can kind of understand where Twitch were coming from. They were protecting their advertisers. Certain influential streamers on Twitch were complaining a lot about the gambling content. And if I'm honest with you, it kind of got to the point where it was ridiculous. It was basically $2-3 million bonus hunts every day. People always winning $10-20 million. It was just not a true reflection of what the casino streaming industry is like. I mean, some of the wins you see, it's just stupid. And it doesn't really send out a good message, in my opinion, to people that are watching these streamers. It sets a terrible precedent.
Mm-hmm. And kind of just for the listeners out there who actually aren't aware of Twitch's changes to online casino streams, can you just provide some clarity on what those changes are and how they were implemented?
So basically, they banned I think it was at the very beginning, 3 prominent casinos, which, I mean, I kind of understand why they did it, but at the same time, it feels like if I was one of those companies and I have brought a hell of a lot of traffic to Twitch, which these people have, people like Trainwrecks, who is sitting there on 20, 30, 40,000 viewers, that's bringing a lot of ad revenue to those guys. They decided to cut that off because they didn't like the bad press that came with it. But I didn't agree with it at all. I felt it was a vile decision to pick on certain casinos. If you're going to ban it, you've got to ban it all. You can't kind of say, right, well, you can do this, but you can't, because that's not really fair. I don't feel in a business world. I mean, those companies must have been extremely frustrated with that decision and felt victimized. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's potentially a lawsuit there that could have come out of it. I don't know whether anything did. But if you're just going to victimize certain casinos, I mean, surely that's not allowed, right?
So, from my understanding, it was kind of blacklist, well, banning casinos that didn't have a license, so essentially kind of like black market kind of operating websites.
Well, that's not actually the case. I mean, that's what a lot of people think. They named free, which I think it was free at the beginning. Stake.
I think it was Stake, Root, is it Jewelbit or something like that?
Jewelbit and Gamden, was it? Not Gamden at the beginning. No, it was Rubet, I think. But so basically, they just did that. But I play, and obviously, any crypto casino is not technically licensed as such. So any crypto casino that's on there is not a licensed casino as such because of the way it works. So if they're going to ban unlicensed casinos on their platform, they've got to ban them all. They can't just ban the three they choose. I don't think that's right.
I can see the point you're coming from. I think something had to be done with the state of Twitch.
Oh, absolutely agree. It had to be done. It was getting ridiculous. It was creating a real black cloud over the community. And now it's kind of moved to Kick. It's more acceptable on Kick, in my opinion, because obviously the site has got a big interest in staking themselves. It was founded from those guys. So it kind of fits to be on that platform away from, the bigger spotlight, which is Twitch. Although that kind of size of spotlight between Twitch and Kick is now very, very close to probably where it was, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And we'll touch on Kick soon. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on fake money streaming, because that's one of the things, what's one of the big issues that arise from Twitch. And I've got my issues with the platform itself, not just from the casino side of things. I feel their protection, certainly of younger people, is wildly...
it's negligible, let's be honest.
Negligent, yeah, perfect word to use. But with fake money streaming, like there's, again, for the listeners out there who aren't actually clued into this, and I think they need to be to understand the major issues at hand. Can you just explain what fake money streaming actually is and how negatively it impacts streamers like yourself?
Of course. So fake money streamers are people that are playing with a preloaded balance on an account on a casino, and they can't withdraw the money. So I kind of see this in two ways. There's people that stream with a balance that they can cash out if they beat the wager. Some people will say that's fake money. I wouldn't, because if you can cash out something after wagering the money's there to be wagered and cashed out, which means it's real money. If there's real money at the end of it, it's real money regardless of whether you got a wager or not. But if you're sat there with a preloaded balance every day that you can't cash out, in my opinion, you're an actor. You're not playing with any risk. You're playing with. I mean, I don't understand how these people can dance around on their screens like absolute weapons when they've won absolutely. And let's be honest, they've won fuck all, haven't they? They can't cash it out. They've won nothing. It's like watching a TV show and reacting to it in the background like it's yours. Like sitting in your Formula One car in your front room that you've got off eBay that cost a tenner for your little steering wheel and your accelerator, and then pretending like you've won a Grand Prix at the end and believing that you've won the Grand Prix. It's just absolutely stupid, mate.
Yeah, I'm laughing at it, but I mean the dangerous effect it has, certainly on the viewers, when the whole industry screams responsible gambling, responsible gaming. We, streamers, their affiliates, their kind of message, their opinion has a wider reach than some in the industry actually realize. You need to lead forward with these responsible gaming messages, and fake money streaming is the best way of putting it. It could be the downfall of streamers if it isn't kind of addressed and kind of eradicated, to be honest.
Yeah, and this is the problem that arose on Twitch. All of these actors that were on there playing with $2, $3, $4 million balances, never showing proof of cash outs, never showing proof of withdrawals. We do that a lot of the time if people ask to see it, because it's very important that people know that if we're asking you to play on my casinos with real money, then the minimum I'm going to do is do the same thing. I would feel like the biggest fraud in the world to sit there with an uncashable balance, pretending like it's really exciting, it's a really big win, I'm really happy, when I know full well it's not. It's the lowest of the low, in my opinion. I've always thought that. There are some absolute scumbags out there that have been doing this for a long time that I know are sat there playing with a fake balance every day. If you do the math on some of these streamers, if you actually look at it for a month and then look at what they've done over the last year with the cash-ins, cash-outs, if you sit down and probably take you a couple of days to do it, if you sit down and look at what's going in compared to what's coming out, some of these guys are depositing over 300 million a year. 300 million a year.
Ridiculous. There
is no way in the world that is real. Absolutely no chance, mate. Now, I don't care how rich you are.
No chance.
No one in their right mind would sink 300 million into a casino. No one. If you've got 300 million, you're clever because you've earned that 300 million. There's no way you're going to stick 300 million in a casino. Don't care what anyone says. Bullshit.
On that point, and we won't name names. No,
I would never be unclassy and name names. That's not my style. I wouldn't do that. But no, carry on, mate.
From your view of this, from the outside looking in at Twitch, since the rules have changed, is it plainly obvious who those fake money streamers were? Has Twitch's new rules kind of fixed this problem, or is it still going?
It's not fixed it, mate. It's just moved it to a different place.
And that different place is Kick.
Well, I wouldn't like to name names, but it's moved to a different place now. We all know that.
Okay, so let's talk about a different place not associated. Let's say that. Kick. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a good platform. I think it's a fair platform to use. It's quite lenient in regards to rules and that kind of thing. I personally am really enjoying being on Kick. It's a brand new captive audience. We are getting some really good results on there, and it's a platform built for gambling. So I feel good about streaming on there, knowing that most people that are watching are people that probably gamble. There is gaming on there, obviously, but predominantly the platform was formed for people to watch gamblers on.
Okay, and from your perspective then, compared to, like I said, you use YouTube a lot, we've talked a lot about Twitch, what are the differences in terms of player protection or viewer protection when it comes to gambling?
Well, that comes down to the streamer. Obviously, on Kick, you set your streamer as a mature audience, which we always do. I don't think you can really do anything about it as such, but all you can do is, obviously, I'm going to gamble, I'm going to stream it, I'm going to show people. I'm hoping that people will sign up and play on my sites. Obviously, that's what we do. But at the same time, I don't ever want that to be to somebody's detriment to the tune of massive amounts of money and loads of problems. The way I see it is, if someone's going to gamble, they're going to gamble. Whether they watch me or not, they're probably going to gamble. We give them safe sites to play on, sites that they can get their money if they win, sites that you can ban yourself from, take timeouts from. We make sure that there is responsible gambling on the sites that we play on. And not just that, but we say on stream, probably more than anyone, the dangers of gambling, how much it can affect your life, how much it can destroy your life, and just make sure that people are aware of the dangers of doing this. They can see our cash-ins, cash-outs every month. That's a very important part of what we do. So we can show people that we don't always win. Some months we're 20, 30,000 down. Other months we're maybe 20, 30,000 up. But they get a clear picture of what gamblers really like when they watch our streams. The most dangerous people out there are the people that only upload the big wins and only show the good side. You've got to show both sides of the coin, or people will think that they can win. And you never want to make people think they can win. You want to make them see what gambling's really like.
On Kick, that's actually, let's acknowledge that message there. That's a true message of streaming. You have to show a true reflection of what gambling is really like, because at times it can be really fun. And slots themselves, I'm a big fan of them. But you have to show both sides of it, and you have to show full transparency as a streamer. Have to.
Absolutely, that is the very bare minimum of being a streamer. You've got to be transparent. You've got to be honest with people, and you've got to make sure they're aware of how dangerous gambling is. You can't just stick a banner on there, gamble aware and all this, and do bits and bobs. You've got to physically tell them. And we do. We tell them 4 or 5 times every stream. If you are going to gamble, please make sure you gamble responsibly. If you are gambling with money you can't afford to play with, stop. Don't do that. Just only spend money you can afford to lose. That is very important, and not enough streamers do that. They don't pass that message on enough. We overkill that message, and we think we should overkill it.
Exactly. No, correct. You really should do. But on Kick's side of things, then are they doing enough to relay that message? Because as I said, they are backed by Stake, essentially, our stake.com, and they should know full well the message and they should lead with the kind of the safer gambling stuff. Are they doing enough on that platform, do you think?
I think they could do more, but at the same time, does it come down to the platform to be responsible for the messages that are sent by the streamers? Like if you go on to, for instance, a platform and it comes up with a massive, be responsible when you gamble, don't do this, don't do that. You go on a streamer that's doing €4 million bonus hunt, then that kind of condescends itself, doesn't it? You've got to make sure that the people that are in charge of pressing the buttons are the ones that spread that message, more importantly than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. I believe the platform has a right to do its due diligence on this case. I know we've criticised Twitch quite a lot, and sometimes they've gone to extreme lengths of permabanning someone for something which doesn't deserve to be permabanned. But I feel like there should be kind of safeguarding options in place from the platform itself, just to protect the viewers, because at the end of the day, it's the viewers' welfares that are.
I absolutely agree. From my point of view, I always look at this from an analytical point of view. Is I don't know how they could physically put something in place that would make that happen, if that makes sense. I would love to see it. It's just I don't know how they would implement that without it looking like they're taking away people's free will and interrupting people when they're trying to get between streams. They do that at the minute with adverts on Twitch, obviously. But I would love to see that happen. I just don't know how they would physically make that happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We're going to move on to kind of looking at the UK.
One last point on that, sorry. The problem with that as well would be that there's different rules for different places in the world. So they would have to geo-target each person. I just think it would be very difficult for anyone to do that. It probably could be done, but it would be very difficult for them to do it because the rules are different all around the world in regards to responsible gambling. Although it is a universal message as such, it might not necessarily be relevant for some countries compared to others.
No, that's a great point to make. And before we're going to move over to the kind of the UK white paper in a second, but just to round off this point, how would you like to see platforms like a Kick and a Twitch and a YouTube collaborate more and get the guidance and perspective of streamers when implementing these rules? I don't know if you experience that much. I don't know if you get to put that, have your say, have that input. I'm going to say no.
No, they've never ever approached streamers that I'm aware of. Maybe on Kick when they first started off, because obviously that was formed with streamers. I'm not sure, but I mean, we're not at that level where we would be invited to something like that anyway, if I'm absolutely honest. But I would love to see that. I would love to see them sit down with streamers and say, okay, how can we make this safer? How can we spread the word more? Absolutely would love that. And I would love to be involved in that. But sadly, I'm not eating from the top table as such. I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm picking up the scraps. I'm probably sat on someone's knee and hoping someone falls out of their mouth. I'm at that level.
Climbing up to the big boy table. You're getting there.
Exactly, mate. We're getting there, pal.
Perfect. And you are a UK native, you were based in the UK.
Yeah, our role operation is based in Ireland now. But yeah, let's move on to your next point. I could probably tell you why we're based in Ireland.
Exactly. So I want to get your thoughts on the recent kind of gambling app review white paper that was announced, I think, a few months ago.
Yeah.
They introduced the idea of stake limits, and I just want to get your thoughts on that and how these new limits will hinder the players in the UK, but mainly the streamers who are targeting a UK audience. Because like you said, each stream has to be targeted to specific audiences and so forth. And if you're targeting a UK audience as a UK streamer, you're going to be severely impacted about what you could probably achieve.
Yeah. I mean, they've, in my opinion, this might sound a little bit overdramatic, but they've completely fucked the industry. And that's my honest opinion. If you go and look in a bookmaker's on a street corner 3-4 years ago, you couldn't get in the door. And don't get me wrong, I don't agree with FOBTs the way they were. They were lethal, and they had to do something about it. But what they did there was they went too far with it. They overkilled it. And now if you go to a bookies or street corner, it's empty. There's hardly anyone in there. And that is what the future of gambling in the UK looks like. If they bring in these over-the-top changes that they currently are and they're currently implementing, it's staggering to me that they are going to look at this and think they're being successful with the changes they're making. When they're not, they're just moving the problem offshore. They're not fixing the problem. And do you know why they're not fixing the problem, James? They don't know what the problem is. That's the biggest problem we've got. They don't know what they're trying to fix. They're just throwing money at it. They're throwing regulation at it in the hoping that it will bring a little bit of a success somewhere so that they can continually warrant the budget that they're getting. They don't know what the problem is, mate. They can't fix the problem. They don't know what it is.
One of the issues the white paper's had since its infancy, when it was announced, I think in 2019 originally, part of Boris Johnson's re-election campaign as Prime Minister, it's had so many eyes over it, so many personnel, so many leaders kind of looking over this thing that it does seem it could be a butcher's job. It could be a Sweeney Todd. It's cut and just put together like a Frankenstein's monster, shall we say.
Yeah.
But the issue that I've got with it is after all this time, everything is a further consultation. Everything still needs to be deliberated on. And I'm like, you've had all this time. You've had 2 to 3 years to go over this, and we still need to talk. But then there's this opportunity then, if they're having further consultations with people within the industry, what would you say to them and how to improve and go forward?
Make things happen and do it quicker. Put it together, something that you all agree on, that the people in the industry agree on, and make it happen. What I don't understand is they continually say that they are doing this to safeguard players and protect against problem gambling. They took away auto spins. Now that for me was the last straw, and that was when I started looking at moving, because I knew at that point they didn't know what they're doing. Taking away autoplays helps nobody. In fact, it hinders people, because if you're on autoplays, you can set your loss limits, you can set your amount of spins, and you can safely do a certain amount of spins. By taking that away, they made it more dangerous for people, because people start using auto-clickers. And you can only set your auto-clicker certain ways. So that, for me, was the first stupid thing they did. Next thing, they decide to make it harder with source of wealth checks for people, but that just allows the casino to delay withdrawals. That doesn't help the players. If they did the source of wealth before you deposited, then I get it. Then that makes sense. Make sure that people are source of wealth when you first sign up at a casino. Make sure they can afford to do what they're doing. I get that. That makes sense. But what they do is they will make people do source of wealth. Casinos do source of wealth after someone's won their money. So you could be sat there waiting 2 or 3 weeks to get your money out because of what the government have done by putting those checks in place. Again, doesn't make any sense whatsoever, in my opinion, to do that.
Mm-hmm. One of the issues I wanted them to address was in kind of slot design, and I can't remember. I don't think they've resolved this issue, and it goes along the lines of, best way of saying it, a fake win. You've put a pound stake on, let's say, and you win 10p, and it's big song and dance that you've won 10p. Well, you've not won 10p, you've lost 90p. Let's be honest, and that's one of the things. If people wanted to address kind of problem gambling or safer gambling concerns, you address that issue, because that's a 30-second fix, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah, it might not make the slot as glamorous to look at for a long period of time, so you might lose some engagement in the slot. But if you're not promoting these fake wins to say, well, these lower wins, these false wins, it will help the player tremendously moving forward to just...
Of course it will.
Keep playing safely.
The thing is, James, that's a good idea, mate. A very good idea. And it's a really easy fix. But that won't warrant any budget, will it? That could be done in 2 minutes. That's not going to keep people in jobs. One other thing that really annoyed me with the new white paper changes was, I don't know whether you noticed this, they made the changes in regards to online stuff and make sure it's harder and harder again. We're talking about doing a little fix on the stake, making sure that people are regulated, taking away people's free will. But they didn't touch their friends in the horses. I don't know if you noticed that horse racing was barely touched. There's a lot of friends of government in horse racing. You could still, at this point, so as a streamer, My limits per month are probably about £200 on most UK casinos if I was still playing in the UK. I can't stream with £200 a month budget. So that's killed it for me. I can walk onto a race course tomorrow and put 50 grand on a horse with no questions asked whatsoever. Is that okay? Because the government says it's okay.
Exactly. It's priorities being misplaced, I'd say, or just actually having zero idea on how to move forward with the consultation.
Yeah. They don't know what the problem is, as I said, mate, and I'll keep going back to that. They can't fix the problem if they don't know what the problem is. They are blanket throwing stuff at it to try and fix it and just to see if it gets anywhere. And they'll call it a success. You know, this has gone down this percent, this has gone down that percent. It hasn't gone down that percent. It's just now moved offshore. So it's somebody else's problem, which is exactly what they want to do. By killing the industry, it moves it away from there. They can say it's been a success, take away people's free will, and just stop people doing what they want to do. And that's exactly what they want to achieve. And if they keep going the way they are, they're going to achieve it.
If you've just summed up the UK government in the last 10 to 12 years, I think that would be exactly it. Yeah.
Pretty much, mate, yeah. Pretty much. Let's be honest, it's an absolute shit show in every aspect of life. I mean, they just keep continuously getting it wrong. We've got somebody in charge. We didn't elect this guy into power, did we? Did we vote for Rishi Sunak to become Prime Minister? Why would anyone vote for somebody that's a multi-millionaire to come in and run our country? Ask him how much a pint of milk costs. Then you'll see what this person's all about. The guy's clueless. He's always been clueless. That government's clueless. And they're the reason that we are getting fucked over every single month and every single time they change something. It makes no sense, the changes they're making. If it did, then I completely get behind it. If it helps people, then yeah, absolutely understand. None of what they're doing is helping anyone except themselves.
Chip, I could talk to you about government performances for the next hour or so, but sadly...
Oh, mate, I'd sit here all day crapping on them. I really could, because it's so frustrating to see what's happening. And people are slowly starting to see what's happening and realising that we are literally, as a country, going to the shitter. And that's in pretty much most aspects of life. That, you know, the little changes they can make, they don't do it. They just don't care, mate.
No, definitely. And I think we need to end the podcast on a lot of a lighter note, away from the UK politics. So let's not let this be our last.
Oh, I mean, I'll go first. About 6 inches, but if it's cold, probably smaller.
Oh, that's optimistic for you, isn't it, Chip?
Well, yeah, I'm in a good mood. I'll say it. I'm in a good mood.
Perfect. Look, let's. I was going to touch on multiplayer slots, but we don't have the time. So I think we're going to round off the question here. On a broader scale, what do you envisage for streamers long-term within the iGaming industry? Because you've seen a lot of collaborations now with suppliers, even with creating slots, and you've got the voices there. You've got the voice to help. As an affiliate, you've got the voice to, betray a supplier's slot to your mass audience. Obviously, you give your true review, your true thoughts of the title. But you have that power. So what do you envisage for streamers long-term moving forward?
I mean, I think we ourselves have started working with game providers a lot more closely. We have got a game that's being built for us, which should be out around Christmas time. A little sneak peek of that's happening soon.
Can we get a sneak peek of who with, or is that just watch this space?
Yeah, Arcadum. We're doing it with Arcadum.
Cool.
Yeah, good guys. We've got a great relationship with them, so we're doing it with Arcadum. We're really excited about what's going to happen. I mean, why wouldn't you want streamers to create slots? We know what people like. We know what pays. We know what people like in games. We know what people hate in games. So, I mean, we've got the direct audience there to tell us if something's good or bad. And, I mean, from a game provider's point of view, you cannot get that feedback. You can't get that honest feedback from anywhere. You can only get it from people that do streams, because the people in the chat will say what they think about the game. They don't care if somebody's in there from that game studio. If they think it's crap, they'll say it's crap, but they'll tell you why it's crap. And then that studio that's watching, once they've picked the lip up, will go, actually, that's a really good point. And then they will take that into the next game. And it's such an invaluable resource. And we work with a lot of providers now who are begging for us to do this for them. They basically say to me, listen, crap all over my game. Tell me everything you hate about it so we can make the next one even better. And that is so valuable to these guys. It's massively important.
Mm-hmm. Chip, I could speak to you all day. I really could. I'm so good.
Mate, this has been great. This has been a lot of fun, I'll be honest. It's always great to shit on the government from a great height.
And that's what we do in iGaming Daily.
Good. Keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm so good that we've only got a limited amount of time. But Chip, thank you for joining us today. For any information to our listeners out there, we will put links in the description below. We'll even put links to Chip's YouTube channel.
Yeah, come and say hi to me, guys. Thanks for having me on, mate. I've really enjoyed this, and let's see how many times this can be shared. Share this right now if you're listening, and we'll be back on again soon. Let's get something put in the book for next time something's been announced on the white paper.
Yeah,
so I can come back and get angry again.
Definitely, Chip. You're now my streaming kind of connoisseur. You're my expert now. You're my go-to.
Boom.
Perfect.
Now it's a party.
All right. Thank you very much.
No worries, mate. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of iGaming Daily, brought to you in conjunction with SBC Summit Barcelona, being held at the Fira Montjuic on the 19th to the 21st of September. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News Network, or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.